All right.
Recording.
All right.
Ready?
Well, welcome to another episode of the DNB podcast. I'm Nodus.
And I'm Embr.
That's Embr. And that.
Hey.
That's
You're
Jono.
Sidetrack, right?
Yeah, technically.
Cool. I got it right.
Legally, I'm Sidetrack.
Who was it that told us that he's Sidetrack? Someone
I
was
think
like,
it was
yeah.
Maker.
Oh, yeah, he was like, yeah, Jono's definitely Sidetrack.
Why is that? Why am
don't
I
know.
definitely Sidetrack?
I don't know.
I did not know. But it's set in stone now. You're
Yeah.
basically set for life.
We like to tell everyone that we're both Ekko and Side, like know that we are all Ekko and Sidetrack.
Yeah, okay.
So like everyone is part of this giant,
Including me.
including you, including both
me?
of you.
Oh, my God.
That's
Both of you.
amazing.
Welcome to the fold. Everyone's in the fold. Because like we've never played separately. Like it's not like a chase and status
Yeah, okay.
Matrix and Future Bound kind of situation. It's just we've always been Ekko and Sidetrack
Yeah.
all the time. So if I play by myself, I would never be like Sidetrack.
Yeah.
Or if Jeff played by himself, he'd never just be Ekko.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
that would
yeah.
be weird.
Yeah.
Well, in case you guys haven't figured it out already, this is Jono from Ekko and Sidetrack. That was one way of saying it.
So you've been back in Perth for how long now?
I got back on the 3rd of April and then got out of quarantine on the 17th of April. So 2 months in like 5 days
Yeah.
ish.
Wow. Welcome
Nice.
home.
Thank you very much.
How was your time there?
It was good. It was definitely interesting. It was an interesting time to be away. But it was fun. Overall, it was fun.
Nice.
Yeah, but it is nice to be back. Like obviously me coming back meant that we could do the Reunited show, which was a couple of weeks ago, which was really fun. And it also meant that we could play a show. We went down south and played a show with Shock One
Yes.
in Margs.
It was like a festival, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like it was supposed to be like a 3-day thing. So Carl played on the first night on the Friday, and then on the second night, some electro act from Melbourne played, and then on Sunday it was Tame Impala sound system, so like his DJ set live show thing.
Yeah.
But then the
Sick.
lockdown happened, and I think Tame Impala cancelled. I was Crooked Colours. That's who it was. And Crooked
yeah.
Colours, I think they went ahead and played on Saturday. But yeah, it was really fun. And I mean, like coming back meant that I could do two of those shows. And I think that alone made it worthwhile.
Yes.
Because currently in the UK there was no shows, and I hadn't played a show since September, when I had gone to Cologne and played a show. And before that it was like April.
Was that like during the whole COVID thing?
Yeah. So basically someone was having a private party, and a friend of his is friends with one of my friends, and he wanted to book a drum bass DJ.
Yeah.
And he basically asked like, who can I get for this budget? And he suggested me. So me and my friend went over and spent 3 days in Cologne, which is amazing.
Sick.
Yeah.
And like one of my other good friends, Reese and Aaron, actually live there as well. So I got to see them at the same time as playing a show, at the same time as meeting all these other sick people.
Yeah.
And Cologne's a sick city. Cologne's like not the best city in Germany, but top three.
That's what we're here to find out.
Yeah.
What's the best city in Germany?
Maybe Cologne. No, probably Berlin. But it's sick. Like, and that was like a nice little, I guess like respite from the monotony, or not even the monotony, but just like the regular programming of being in London.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty lucky that I could go play a show during that time, because at that time the only way to do it was to go to New Zealand
Yeah.
essentially and quarantine for 2 weeks and do a tour, which a few people did do.
Yeah.
But that option wasn't available to a lot of people. So yeah, I felt pretty lucky I could go and do that
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and make something of 2020.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you and Jeff were both in the UK when COVID hit, is that right?
No, we both went over in 2019 in September. So we had a run of shows and Jeff basically stayed for about 6 weeks. So we did those shows together. I stayed on because I had a visa. I continued to do shows, came back for Christmas, and then went back in January 2020 and continued to play shows. And then it was, I think it was March 13th I was set to play in Estonia, and I flew to Estonia. And there was talk of COVID.
Yeah.
There was like...
It was like early days then, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was still like... It had gone... I think we were joking about COVID in January. I remember being sick in January, having a cold, and joking with friends like, oh, I hope I don't have COVID. Oh. Like it was all like funny.
Yeah.
And then we flew... Yeah, so I went to Estonia, flew from the capital Tallinn to a city that's called Tartu, I believe, which is like 2 hours, and got dropped at my hotel. Was like, oh, we'll come back and pick you up for dinner in like 2 hours. And then they came back and they were like, so the show's been cancelled because of COVID. But we still went out for dinner. And then I started feeling a bit sick. And I woke up the next day feeling a bit ill. And like generally when I get sick, I get like a sore throat or my lymph nodes swell up. So I kind of can tell that I've got something going on. So I stayed in the hotel for 2 days and got my flight back. And then quarantined myself because I felt like this is a bit iffy.
Yeah.
And my housemates at the time were in holidaying in Poland and Germany, and over that weekend as well, countries basically started to close their borders. So their holiday, which they'd left, I think they'd left on Thursday as well, got cut short, and they kind of got kicked out of Poland and then flew from Germany back to the UK, luckily. And then it was that week that was like, we're going to go into a lockdown, essentially, and everything was like,
They got
no
back
go.
just in time.
Yeah, they got back, and then I stayed in bed for a few days because I was sick, and then they started to get sick, and they got a message from the airline saying someone on their flight had COVID.
Shit.
So I believe they gave me COVID,
Oh, wow.
but they think that I gave them COVID. But essentially, we all kind of got COVID in that.
So you actually had
2 week
COVID
period.
as well?
Yeah. So like
Wow.
we all kind of got sick and isolated, and then I was set to fly back, I think a week after that, maybe 2 weeks after that, and my flight got cancelled.
Damn.
So then we were kind of all in London, and it was starting to look like, I don't think we knew we were going into a 3-month lockdown yet. I can't remember. I started a diary, which I have since lost, which is really fucking annoying. But like,
no.
I've got
All
some
your
of
secrets.
some of these like moments written down, and like the timeline a bit better. But yeah, we basically just kind of went into lockdown, and then decided that doing a lockdown with all three of us living in that house is just going to be too hard. Because me and Tony were going to have to work from home, and Tash, she's a hairdresser. She was a hairdresser in London. And having 3 people in an apartment for possibly 3 months was too hard.
Yeah.
So I moved out and moved to South London, where I was lucky enough to get a house entirely to myself because the two other guys living there had left London. They were both freelance writers or worked in film, and obviously all the work had dried up, so they'd gone. Like a lot of people that lived in London kind of left and went to family homes outside of London, because London was like a bit of an epicenter to a degree, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
And so with a lot of people doing freelance or creative jobs, they're just like, I'm not going to pay this ridiculous rent for 3 months and not have a job. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to move into a house by myself, and then I stayed down there for a couple of months, living
That's
the life.
intense, living by yourself during lockdown.
Yeah, it was really weird. It's weird. Like, lockdown is fun to a certain degree. Like, there was some fun. We had some fucking fun. Like
you yourself and I.
Well, like before I moved out, like me, Tash and Tony definitely had some afternoon wines a lot easier than before, because we had kind of a bit more free time, and we were spending a lot of time together, and it was kind of exciting. It was like this weird moment in time that no one had ever experienced before.
Yeah.
It's a nice excuse to just get together and chat and hang out.
Yeah, get drunk.
Yeah.
Just great.
Any excuse.
But like, I think the reality of it all probably didn't hit for like the first month or so. Like,
I remember feeling the same way.
Yeah, like it was kind of, everyone downloaded Zoom. And it was like, oh, let's do like Zoom parties, and and kind of like the repercussions of it maybe weren't felt that much, and people worked out how to work from home, and you know, there was some government support, or like it wasn't. The depressing part of it hadn't really happened yet.
Yeah.
But then when I moved down to Broccoli, I think some of the reality of like living by yourself, and some of the reasons why I had gone to London being taken away was a bit difficult, and then started the kind of actual 2020 work section of being in London, and like the fun of lockdown kind of pulled back a bit. But it was still like an exciting experience. Like, I think it's character building to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't know. I still don't really know how I feel about it. Like, I probably need to do a lot of writing and a lot of reflection and find that diary where I've written a lot of stuff down. But it was interesting. And then coming out of lockdown, we kind of had this weird summer where some stuff was open and some stuff wasn't open. And so there were, it was like outside dining for a bit. You could have you could have parties, but not many people. Like, you could see people outdoors, meet in parks, and you go to restaurants, but you have to check in. It was this kind of not a full summer. Essentially. And then we went back into another lockdown over winter, which was the harder one because the weather's shit and it's cold. And usually when that happens in the UK, you want to go to the pub and drink and see your mates, and kind of like that's how you get through it. And that one I think was a bit more challenging.
Yeah, there's definitely like something to be said about just like the sunshine, and like, you know, if you're having a shit day and you just go sit outside and it's nice and sunny, it can just make you feel so much better.
Man,
but if it's just like miserable and like cloudy, and you're like, what's the point? It sucks.
Especially stuck inside. Like,
you
know, if I spend 3 days inside, I start going crazy.
Yeah. I think like getting outside and getting into nature, and especially getting sun, is so integral to humans' happiness.
Yeah.
Like, we need it so much. And I mean, it's already hard enough in Europe in the winter months to get enough vitamin D to maintain like a healthy what's it called? Circadian rhythm. And like, so your sleep's good and you're in a healthy cycle.
Yeah.
So when you add not being able to go outside that much and being isolated from people or from big groups of people, it gets quite challenging. And I don't think I thought I would get affected by, what's it called? The SADs, like seasonal
SAD.
Seasonal affective disorder or something.
Something
Depression.
like that.
I don't know.
Someone can Google it.
Yeah. We'll get our tech guy to Google it.
But yeah, I definitely felt that. Like the mood goes down over there in winter. Just like the mood goes so fucking high up in summer.
Yeah.
And that's why, because it's like, it is pretty shit in summer, or like it definitely gets harder. We have such mild winters and summers here.
Yeah.
It's like, it's different, and definitely there's more of a vibe for summer. But over there, it's like, we're not doing anything in winter, but in summer, every day we're going to get beers, or like we're always up for doing stuff, festivals, going out every weekend. Like,
yeah, they make the most of it, hey?
fuck
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of the excitement.
Appreciate it.
Like the city feels alive and much more
Vibrant.
Yeah, vibrant. Yeah, absolutely. Like, have you guys been much to Europe in summer?
I went to the UK in their summer. So it was kind of just like our winter.
Yeah.
I've only ever been to Scotland in winter. So yeah.
It's not a great time to go to Scotland. Well, it is. It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
It's always been like at Christmas time. So there's
Yeah.
like that little element of like everyone's happy because it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
it's snowing a bit.
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Got a bit of snow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still pretty freezing and miserable.
Yeah. There's like a real great energy that comes from having like a European summer. I'm just thinking about a lot of people, like seeing it on Instagram at the moment, seeing people's summer, like people are gearing up. So like outdoor drinks are starting to happen, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the UK is starting to open up now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
It's so
restrictions
nice to
and stuff.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Especially
both,
for like the artists that we follow.
Oh
And
yeah.
they've just been like struggling like creatively
Massively.
over like lockdown and stuff, and like just to see them like coming back, they're like, yes, played my first show in however like
Yeah.
many months, and it's like, yes,
Yeah.
we'll get some more music and
Yeah.
just feel better.
Some of those, I saw, I can't remember who it was. Maybe Turno, maybe Upgrade. Posted like a video from playing a show in Bristol. It was just like sit down shows because that's what raves are happening at the moment in the UK. But it was such a vibe of a show, like people standing up and like yelling and kind of secretly dancing, and it was just it feels like the energy is back there and people are ready to kind of party again.
For sure, they're definitely ready. Hey?
Yeah.
They would be. I've seen a video of DLR at one of the Sofa Sound shows, and like everyone's sitting down just like fucking raring to go, like trying to get out of their seat. And but apparently, yeah, you get kicked out if you don't stay seated. So
It's really weird.
yeah, pretty weird times.
It's super weird. I think Jeff played a show in Adelaide with Carl maybe last year, Christmas. Maybe
It was
New
around
Year's.
then when we had a sit down event around.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. And it wasn't a sit down event, but you couldn't dance. So like I saw a video of it, and like people like I think there was an MC that was like, all right, everybody get ready for this, but like don't move around too much. And like people kind of like standing there separately, but like some people kind of moving but like not moving, and then like the guy on the mic would be like, okay, like we got to calm down a bit, like you can't have too much dancing.
You shouldn't really have a hype man.
Yeah.
That
sucks.
Yeah, like I don't.
That sucks. Yeah,
I think you have to kind of. You have one or the other. Like, either have everyone sit down.
Yeah.
And make the rules like you can have tables of clusters or something, or don't have the show.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like you just have to. You can't leave it. There's so much grey area.
Yeah.
So like.
So you're allowed to stand not in groups, like and not dance.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like there was a standing area, but you could move a little bit, but too much movement was not on.
That's wild.
It's just
Crazy.
weird.
South Australia, they I think they took a while to come back to events because I'm following like a couple of promoters over in South Australia and
The collective guys?
yeah. And I just remember like seeing a few of their posts like during the lockdown, like when we had come back to events and they're like, what's going on? How come you can go to like footy games and stuff and you can go to like sporting events, but you can't have like these kind of events. And it's just like, yeah, it was weird because I don't think South Australia had it any worse than us in WA.
And just being extra careful, maybe.
Yeah. And I mean, being extra careful is good, but there is this weird double standard thing, especially with the football.
Yeah.
You got 50,000 people in a stadium versus 200 in a club.
Drum and bass just needs to bring over millions and millions of dollars of tourism to WA for it to be allowed to continue. Or maybe Mike McGowan needs to start listening to some drum and bass and start to appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we can make that
Take
happen.
a tip from Jacinda.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
She's so cool, man.
She is cool.
Yeah.
She loves drum and bass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And she seems like she's lovely.
Jacinda is, I don't know her last name, but she's...
Arden?
Is it Arden? Yeah,
Arden. She's the New Zealand Prime Minister. And, man, awesome gal by the looks of it.
I wish our Prime Minister wasn't such a fucking idiot or like seemed to be such a fucking idiot. Like she seems like a genuinely nice person.
Yeah.
Pretty measured. Like she explains things and you're like, okay, that makes sense. She seems like a lovely person.
Yeah.
She does.
Like Scott Morrison just seems like an idiot.
It seems like
and just like pretty disconnected from.
He's like religious as well, and that kind of always like.
Yeah, mixing church and politics.
Yeah, and like I think he's pretty into like the Hillsong vibe of religion. So like, pretty. I'm not against religious people. My mum's extremely religious, and I was raised Christian. But I just think you can't be so deep into something that it kind of alters your views on how you run a country when not the entire country is Christian or whatever religion.
Well, I think he said himself that he believes that everything happens for a reason and God had a plan for everything. So
kind of agree with him there though. But in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
But
there's nothing wrong with being religious, but like I think for a prime minister to be that kind of outspoken about it, it's like
yeah, it's weird.
Also, he's just super corporate.
Yeah,
I mean, he's from a marketing background and very
Well, you just need I think younger people
definitely
in there. I think I don't know how many people want to be politicians. I think I went to school with someone that was like, I want to be a politician. And I feel like anyone that wants to be a politician shouldn't actually be allowed to be a politician because you probably have ulterior motives or you feel like you can do the job.
There's just so much room for corruption, I guess.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. There's too much room for corruption. But I mean, that's big business. That's
the world.
That's the world. That exactly is the world.
That's it.
The world is very corrupt.
Yeah. Circling back to something you said a little while back. What was it like having COVID? So you said you were quite sick, but like how bad was it? Like, did you feel worried at any point?
No. When I get normally sick, I don't get pretty sick, but it always feels like tonsillitis.
Yeah.
For me.
Real throaty.
Like super swollen, usually temperature as well.
Yeah.
So I think I got a throat infection when I was in Estonia and then maybe either got COVID on the flight back or something, or maybe got it from Tash and Tony, I don't know. But there was like 5 days of throat infection and I got antibiotics because I did like a doctor's appointment on the phone and explained kind of what I go through, and he was like, it sounds like a throat infection, I'll send you some antibiotics. And then I think I had 2 days of really bad fever where I was like just fucked in bed, couldn't control my sleep, was just like shivering.
Yeah.
And I think that was the COVID part. So like I feel like it just gave me worse fever.
So you had a throat infection and COVID like at the same time?
I believe so. I think it was like a kind of, there was a crossover period there.
Oof.
And so I had antibiotics, and then I think the taste and smell went after the fever.
Well, yeah, that's a big symptom, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's the only reason we know, like that taste and smell went for like a month or so.
That long?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I still don't think like my taste and smell has come back 100%. So and it changed. Like I can't drink, not that I was drinking heaps of Coca-Cola before, but if I drink it now, it just tastes like shit.
Yeah.
It
It's
tastes
probably
really,
a good thing.
it is a good thing. It tastes like really metallic.
Wow.
There's definitely a lack of diminished salt and sweet and salt flavor. Like I'm finding I'm adding more seasoning to my food. And I don't like coriander as much. Coriander tastes soapy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I never
that's
got
just
that.
coriander.
It's got a weird taste to it.
No,
anyway,
so
but
so you know, there's people that like coriander and don't like coriander.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Never got the people that didn't like coriander. And then after COVID, I tasted it. I was like, fuck, this tastes like soap. I get it. Oh my God, now I don't like coriander.
you're one of those people.
But
Wait.
I ignore that now and just still eat coriander.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why
Interesting.
do you still eat it if you
Yeah.
don't like it?
Well, because it's going to get better. It gets better, I
Okay.
think. Maybe I'm just telling myself that.
No, that's positive affirmation.
But I feel like it's coming back, the taste.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
Was that the only long-term or mid to long-term effect?
I believe so.
Yeah.
There probably might be
good.
some psychological things going on, but there's always
yeah.
psychological things going on. I think that's the only thing that I had. And I mean, most people I talked to that had it really only got the taste and smell and maybe like a cough for a couple of days. But I don't really know anyone that had it super badly. But a lot of my friends in the UK had it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We spoke to Mosey about a month ago, and he was telling us that he still gets headaches now, even like a year later.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And Becky's safe as well. She still
Yeah.
gets headaches and like still feels crappy every now and then because of it, like just like recurring symptoms, I guess.
Man, it's so strange.
Yeah.
It's really strange that we're still kind of dealing with the aftermath of it, or like still in it.
Yeah.
Like even though we've got a certain level of normalcy here in Perth, we're still kind of figuring out what this is and how it happened and what it can do. And I'm sure like for the next 10 years it's going to be studied and people are going to find out all these other things about what kind of effects COVID can have. I think there were some studies that linked it to depression and other like psychological effects as well.
I heard that as well.
Changing like parts of your brain.
Far out.
But it
Scary.
just sounds like a mental disease. Like it just kind of fucks you up in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Lose taste and smell, get cold symptoms, temperature. You can also have these effects and these effects. And like, what the fuck? It's weird.
Well,
Crazy.
stay tuned for the next decade and we'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think this is the end of
Oh, definitely not.
COVID
Yeah.
or viral diseases. Viruses. That's the word that I was looking for. Virus.
A viral virus.
Viral virus.
So, aside from the reunion show,
Yeah.
what else has been the highlight of being back in Perth?
Seeing mum and dad was really nice,
Yeah.
and like hugging them and seeing friends and like having some normal things happen. You know, go out for breakfast, have coffee with friends, going and swimming in the ocean. But aside from that, really working in the studio with Jeff again has been really positive. Like there's a certain amount of productivity that you can have when you're separate, especially as brothers. It's good to have time apart. And when any partnership, I think it's good to have time apart working. But it has been really good to be back in the studio and have less time in between feedback and more of that kind of kinetic energy that we have when we're working together and working on the same idea. And that's been just a joy to experience again. Like producing music is traditionally can be like a lonely task. It can be, you're by yourself in a room for a long period of time, often writing shit ideas or like coming up against walls and like the kind of this struggle and this wrestle, and doing it with a partner is really beneficial because you can hand off the reins to them sometimes and be like, look, I need a break. And I think doing it in the same room is even easier. And just like being back in the studio, like we share a studio with Shock One. And we've been, What's So Not's been working out of there a bit as well.
Cool.
And like working in the studio with 2 other people, and like we're, visit each other's studios and listen to what they're doing and offer advice and like having coffee and just talking about music. There's this like community feel about the whole thing, which I really personally, I find that to be quite inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like hearing what other people are doing and kind of, just that other pair of ears being like, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Maybe try this sound or move this here. Just that different thought pattern can kind of make your day more productive.
Yeah, to have some like these people around you that are at the top of their game, giving you advice, and
it's so helpful.
Having a fresh ear that is at that level, must be awesome. Yeah,
it helps. It really does help, and that's like one of the things I really liked about London was that I was I'm lucky enough to have a kind of friendship group over there that has a lot of great producers in it, and you kind of felt, or I felt like I was more part of the music scene over there. Like the drum and bass scene here is fantastic, but there's not as much of a community in terms of like producers hanging out. And I don't even know if it is, I don't know if there is that many producers hanging out in London, or if it's just that because I was living there and I knew so many people, that I was lucky enough to always kind of be visiting different people quite often. But I really made it a point, not only because I was seeing my friends, but I liked being around people's studios because I'd get excited, I'd get inspired. Going to spend a day with someone writing some music, and then you'd go home and like write music, and then you'd send it to this person, and then you'd be seeing someone else on the weekend, and there was like this energy to it, which I think that's really inspiring to me. Like having a communal place where you can create is something I definitely want to, an idea I want to kind of execute in the next few years. Like I love the idea of communal studio space and sharing ideas, like shared workspaces and that kind of thing are so cool. It's just it's so inspiring.
So a big stretch from sitting in your own studio in your house.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're going to a place with the intention of being creative.
Like, I mean, we're lucky enough to have a studio, an off-location studio from our house, which we made that change maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And before that, it was just in the home. And the difference of being able to leave that place and separate it from your life made a massive improvement to our music and to our productivity.
Yeah.
But also then having that space next to a friend that you can talk about music to and have breaks and kind of discuss ideas, I think is really important.
It reminds me of like when I was at SAE, that like you're all in this one building, you're all creating, and you're just bouncing sort of inspiration off each other, and it's like it's like a hub of creativity, and
that's exactly what it is.
And like I say, you just go to the next studio over, see what they're doing, and you kind of never really get tired of it.
Yeah,
you just keep. Whereas if you sat in your studio for a few hours, you kind of feel a bit lonely and maybe be a bit bored sooner than you would.
Yeah,
and I think it definitely. Some people are more nomadic travelers with creativity, I guess. Like some people love being by themselves, and any sort of kind of interruption might actually annoy them.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely more of a social person where I like to be locked away by myself, but I also like going out and talking to someone for 5 minutes and having the break and like stepping outside of the zone where I'm being creative and just kind of looking for ideas. Like even when I had the home studio in London, I would always... I would make like 17 cups of tea or coffee a day, but I would always like go downstairs and talk to my housemate that was always working, or kind of like step outside for a bit, or just go and like change your input to some degree. Because for me, sitting in front of a screen for 6-7 hours isn't particularly inspiring, and unless you get into a flow or a zone, which is fantastic. But I kind of always need that ulterior input.
I think we take inspiration from things we don't even realize sometimes, like just going outside and going for a walk or going to see a friend. Yeah. It makes a big difference, where as opposed to being locked in a house, it's kind of, there's no outside input. So you're just kind of stagnant. Yeah.
And that's the most important thing, to kind of keep that movement going. I think like inspiration can come from anything. Inspiration can come from a conversation. Inspiration can come from a phone call. I really like calling people.
Oh yeah.
And like
that's
having
very old fashioned now.
Long conversations. But it's good because you kind of get the fucking minutia. You get into the real shit that you don't get from a message, or you don't get from anything else.
You get so much more of a connection.
Absolutely.
And you kind of feel their energy.
Yeah. And like you can, if you're feeling uninspired, you can call a friend, or you can call someone, and whether you talk about music or whether you talk about your day or whether you talk about the weather, whatever you talk about, that can kind of give you a bit more energy to then go back and be like, okay, I'm going to tackle this problem again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think people... Well, I do think people do that. People know that. It's not some fucking...
We haven't cracked the code.
No, we haven't cracked the code at all. But like, it's as I get older, I realize that it's more important to me. And maybe especially after COVID, like having more time alone made that, like solidified that in my brain, that I do need other people's input, and I do need people around me.
Yeah.
We're not as much of probably not as much of an island as I thought I was or wanted to be.
Well, you've always had your brother around, right? So you're kind of used to...
Unfortunately. No, I'm just kidding.
He'll be watching this.
We've always worked together and fairly closely, which is... Again, why the break and the work apart was actually quite important for our relationship and our working relationship, because it meant that both of us could be more of ourselves without the other, I think.
Yeah, okay. Like more of an individual.
Yeah. Because we are so close, and even our friendship networks are quite close, and we make music together. Sometimes we are the version of ourselves kind of with each other.
Yeah.
You need the other one there to some extent.
I know what you mean.
So the time away, because that's the biggest break we've ever had apart.
Yeah, how long was that?
A year?
Fuck.
I think. 18 months. Yeah, 18 months. No, more than a year. Yeah, about 18 months.
Wow.
And like
That's a long time.
that's allowed us to be us. Yeah, allowed us to be yourself a bit more and yourself creatively.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think we're much more, I wouldn't say confident. I feel like we were confident in our opinions before and our creative opinions, but I think we're just a bit more solid in what we like and what we don't like. And there's not as much muddied area between the two. So we can make quicker decisions and we can make more interesting creative decisions and decisions that like might be vastly different. Like we have different tastes in music. We have different tastes in drum and bass. There's obviously a lot of crossover, but like I might do a production technique that Jeff has no idea about, or Jeff might choose a sample that I definitely wouldn't choose.
Mm-hmm.
But then that kind of merges in our joint creativity, which allows Ekko and Sidetrack to be what it is, and it allows anything we do creatively to be a bit more interesting than whatever we would do by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's good. Like I think that's how we evolve and how we learn as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, ultimately you come up with something that you wouldn't be able to by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's the aim. Like we're stronger together or more interesting together. We create more interesting stuff together. Yeah. That would be the goal. Do you I mean, you guys work on music together, correct?
Not as much as we probably should.
Yeah.
We have done though, like plenty, not always gotten anywhere with it, but yeah, a bit.
Yeah, most of like lately when we like working together, we're working on Motive.
Yeah.
So like working on our events and planning things for the podcast and we need to get back in the studio together.
Yeah,
but
we do.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you live together and work together and run events together. It's kind of like you were saying before, you need a bit of time to yourself.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
To go and work in the studio together as well.
We have
It
very
can be
different taste in music as well.
Yeah.
So like I'm more into kind of like the heavier jump up style, which Harley does like as well. But when he's making music, it's more like rollers, like TI style, kind of deeper rollers.
Deep
so
stuff.
yeah, like we'll definitely work on music together again.
Yeah.
But
One day.
yeah,
I'd understand how they would be between doing Motive and living together and having a relationship and working together. That's like a lot of time in each other's faces.
yeah.
And
So
like making music would just be kind of added.
Yeah.
So we just jump into our own studios and get a little bit of alone time and
I think that's important. I mean, we love what we do.
Yeah.
It's funny when I tell people that like we do all this stuff together, like, oh my God, like if, don't you get sick of each other? It's like, not really.
Not really.
Nah, not really. Maybe 1% of the time.
But I think that's people say that to Jeff and I a lot. Like, do you guys argue a lot or do you guys get sick of each other or that kind of thing? Because we are brothers and not a lot of brothers have as close a relationship as we do. Or a lot of people I speak to say like, I could never do that with my brother, or like I fucking hate my sister, or whatever it is. And I think you kind of get used to that certain dynamic, like, and you kind of, that's just how it's always been. Like we've always done it this way, and it's not really, you just don't think about it that much, maybe.
Yeah. It's just like
comes
that's our normal.
That's just the operating. Basic operating system.
Can you get the tape out of his mouth?
What's he got in his mouth?
He's got some like gaffer tape.
What an idiot.
Such a long dog. The longest fucking dog I've ever seen. Hello.
He knows you're talking about it.
Hello. Hello. Oh,
they are stars on the podcast.
they're so adorable.
They need a lot of attention.
Yeah. They're like a Tamagotchi, like a real life one. Pretty much, literally. You got to feed them and love them.
And I killed my Tamagotchi so quickly.
Yes,
I'm glad you said Tamagotchi then.
Oh, yeah, no, I couldn't. How is the Motive stuff going? You guys had a gig on Friday?
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, it's going well. It's all every time it's a learning curve for us. Yeah.
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 So I think the last one, because it was like just after K9 and Turno, and then Benio and Inja next weekend, it wasn't the turnout that we've had with the previous events, but it was still good. It's just that timing, because there's so many internationals right now, and tickets for these bigger shows are like $70, $80 depending on when you get the tickets. So people are just like broke, like
including us.
Yeah, we've spent so much on tickets. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But I understand why they're so expensive. Obviously, these people have had to quarantine in New Zealand in order to get here, and somebody's had to pay for that. It all goes down the line. So
and then the production is insane with that Inhibit, like the LED screens and
that was sick on
pyrotechnics.
On
Yeah, those like
amazing
spark-looking things.
That's
I don't know what they were.
Man,
well, maybe sparks.
When fucking Brucey was out there, and the sparks, I swear he was like in between the spark source.
I know.
He was in between two of them, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then like
that's insane.
Made for some cool photos. That's for
sure.
Fuck
yeah, I did. Yeah.
And like Turno came out and was like standing. It looked like he was really close, but they must plan it and be like, okay, this is where you go. Because Stian has said before, when he's emceed for Floridas and they've had like the flames, they'd give him like a stage plot and show like, okay, this is where you can walk. Like,
and
on this
there must be
line.
little marks.
Yeah.
Surely.
But still, it's like you're very close to that.
Very close to the fire cannon.
Yeah. yeah. Fuck.
That would be terrible.
Fuck the fire cannon.
Well, actually, the production for your show was insane as well.
Thank you.
That was so cool.
Thank you.
They're like strobe light things.
The strobes were like
beams.
They're the most intense strobes I've ever seen. I was like not even facing. I was eating some pizza when it started to go off, all the way at the back, and even then I was like, oh, fucking hell, they're bright. So like people at the front, my god.
I love strobes. Like in the perfect world, I think you'd just have a club that was just all. Oh, what is wrong, buddy? Come here. I think in a perfect world, you'd just have a club that was completely black, and just 1,000 strobes.
One whole wall of strobes.
Yeah. Just like They
do create a vibe though. They do make it way more exciting.
It's kind of weird. Like people. It would be interesting to see what a drum and bass club looked like with no lighting and absolutely no lighting, like essentially just like with dimmed.
I have been to a couple of those, and
I feel like people wouldn't dance as much.
No, the vibe is very chilled. Yeah. So there's I've been to a couple of shows where they've just got like a bit of stage wash lighting, like nothing, no lasers or strobes, and even the house lights just on very dim, so it's still quite bright in there, and it's a weird vibe when you're listening to this like intense fast music, and then there's just like steady slow lights. It doesn't match.
Like in the Rechabite, I've seen that a couple of times. Like.
That's why
not necessarily drum and bass events, but like when we went into the check out the venue.
Yeah.
It's just like high energy music or like rave music, and just like not much movement in the lighting, and it's like it's just weird.
It's funny because like you see it at like daytime festivals though. I've seen people go crazy at like Liquidity or Hospitality in the Park, like. It's daytime and people in some sort of greenhouse arena. I guess there's like still some lights and some flashing, but it's obviously not having the same impact that it does at nighttime.
Maybe it's just the excitement of being at a festival. And
I think that maybe that's it. Like the energy that you get from being at a festival.
Yeah,
that's different.
God, what must that be like? I can't remember.
Man, I'd fucking love to go to a festival. I'd love to go to Liquidity. Have you guys ever been to Liquidity?
No, that'd be sick.
Where is that? In
Netherlands?
Netherlands, yeah. It's in a place near Alkmaar. It's just like an hour out of Amsterdam. It is the best festival in the world. Like that is my favorite place. I think.
Wow.
It's such a everyone has to go there.
What makes it so special?
I mean, the guys that run Liquidity are angels and beautiful people, and I love them. But like the energy of the energy of the Dutch people. Dutch people are very considerate. They're very kind, but they like to laugh and they're fun. And you plus that with the music that is usually associated with Liquidity, which is like upbeat, liquid, dance floor, and then add like a 3-day festival, and then also add like some of the rules and regulations that European festivals do quite well. So everyone's quite respectful, and there's not a lot of fucking about, if that makes sense. There's quite strict rules on how much booze they give out. Well, like, there's not booze limits, but they're kind of like quite restrictive. And then if you fuck around, if there's any kind of negative behavior, you just get kicked out.
That's good.
And it's summer, the sun is shining, everyone's having a good time. Like when we've gone, I've never seen like a negative interaction. I see a lot of love. I see a lot of like hugs and like a lot of positivity. And I've seen that at English festivals. I've only been to 2 English festivals, and obviously festivals in Australia, but like it's almost like someone has to fuck it up.
Yeah.
In Australia, especially in Australia or in the UK, like there's a kind of like, I don't know, there's fights.
Yeah.
There's a bit more aggression. There's a bit more, I don't know, maybe it's we just can't handle our alcohol and drugs or like something like that. But yeah, the vibe of Liquidity is just so fun. Everyone's so happy.
Yeah.
And maybe it's that
awesome.
summer thing, you were explaining before. Yeah, everybody's really excited about summer, and then add that with the greatest festival of all time. And
I mean, I felt that. I felt the same way at Hospitality at the Park, but I think it's just the place. Like, it's in this kind of forested area, and you're listening to happy music, and everyone's smiling and laughing. And at night, they've got this big screen, and they show. What are they showing? Because they've got sound restrictions, so they have to stop at 12. But then they've got a silent disco for 2 hours, which is so sick. Seeing like 1,000 people go nuts to a silent disco because that's the only option. It's so sick.
That's crazy.
But then they've got this big screen, which is showing like David Attenborough films.
Oh, cool.
And like
this is so wholesome.
Man, one night I walked past and there was like a grasshopper praying mantis thing sneaking up on another animal, and like the crowd was like fully in it. They were like, oh, and then he finally got him. Everyone like cheered, like, yeah, like it's amazing, man. It's incredible.
That's so cool.
I'd love to experience that festival again.
Yeah.
Is that where you got the inspiration to do the video for the opening of the reunion show? Oh, of your set?
No, we were actually, that was because we obviously like doing videos. And we were originally going to we had another thing planned, but like logistically it wasn't going to work. So we just thought that was literally just like an idea we had in the studio, and we went off and edited it, and it kind of worked. It was
really funny, man.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
We'll
have to like,
I
don't know, link it in the video or something.
I got to
people have got to see it.
Yeah, we should put it up. We should probably put that up online somewhere.
Definitely. But yeah, you guys are known for making your funny
video
videos.
Yeah. I think like it's we like making. I mean, we're silly dudes and we fuck around a lot and make each other laugh, and we do it because it's funny and it's fun.
Yeah.
And I think that incorporating that into live shows somehow, especially for the Reunited show, was quite important. But we definitely want to look into how we can incorporate that kind of stuff more into Ekko and Sidetrack, and not just make it like for content, because we're also quite serious and have kind of write serious music. And I think writing that line between like being silly guys but also serious guys is quite important and quite a ton of tough thing to ride, because you don't want to end up like someone maybe like Dylan Francis, like become too memey of himself, and then people are like want him to be the funny guy rather than the music guy.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, but then we also don't want to be super serious because we're not super serious and be like, I don't know, fucking, I don't know.
Like, you want to show
Super
people
serious.
your
Personality and silliness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a fine line to walk as it is, let alone like making that into video content.
Yeah, because you want people to laugh with you, but also take your music seriously.
Yeah.
Because if you cross that point, people then don't take your music seriously because they're like, oh, they're silly guys. They don't take their music seriously.
Yeah.
So then therefore I can like not take their music seriously. Like, ha ha, like where's the joke? Ha, that kind of thing. And like
they might start expecting some jokes in your music or
yeah,
something.
absolutely. And like we've thought about doing that kind of stuff, but that's to us like cheesy and not like that's making joke music.
It's almost devaluing how much work has gone into to get to where you're at now.
Yeah.
If you just start making it a joke, it's like
Absolutely.
yeah.
Because if you like, I wonder this about John B. That's the last thing I kind of thought about. John B. who's obviously got a great stream and makes great music, but then he made that. I saw him make that that meme song about. Fuck, I can't remember what it was. What was it? That's not what the song was. But like he made like a meme song about. It wasn't about COVID. It was about. I can't remember it. But there was like a meme song that he released, and I was like, "Can you? Am I just being a judgmental dickhead, or are people going to now be like, okay, you can't release a serious single on Metalheads now, kind of because you've made this like meme-y song,
Yeah.
or can you? And I'm just I'm thinking incorrectly here.
We'll have to dig up the song.
Yeah,
I can't.
I can't remember what song it was, but I remember seeing it and being like, that's too much. Like, I don't know. It just felt too much to a certain market, and maybe that is his market. And I'm obviously not calling out John B.
Yeah.
But like it kind of made me think like you want your music to be serious, but you can't. Yeah, you can't fuck around too much. It's just like you can't let people in too much. Like you can't be too. I don't think you can be too accessible. Like I think Jeff and I are quite accessible in terms of what we share on our podcast, or what we share when we do other people's podcasts, or what we share with people when they talk to us, or whatever. But like you do have to have this slight separation between your work and yourself, and I think that's a fine line, like to ride. Yeah, especially the joke thing. I always think about like, are we being too silly, or are we being just right? And I think most of the time we're being just right.
Yeah, I think you guys do it well, and I think there's like, because there's two sides, or two ways to look at it. Like, you know, you could make funny videos or make like a meme song just to kind of bring people in, and like kind of like reach a wider audience, and then put out like the music that you normally make, and it's kind of like you've just reached a larger audience with what like your joke, or like your videos. But then also it could be seen as like kind of selling out a bit as well, like just kind of like trying to appeal to
the masses.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Is that like like putting out a wide net, and how many people from that wide net will then stay on for the serious post or the music post.
That's what you're there to do, is to make music and share your music.
Yeah.
The videos are a bit of fun and kind of bring people in.
Yeah, and I guess it is. Yeah, it's about bringing people in. But then again,
like I guess it does help your brand, because if you put yourself out there as a couple of funny, nice guys, and you know you have a bit of fun, but you also make really good music. It's kind of like if a promoter wants to book you, they're like, I know I'm going to have a good time with these guys. Yeah, they seem fun, and we'll have a good night.
Absolutely,
and
that definitely helps our brand. That like we are nice guys and like to have fun and silly, and that does help.
Definitely.
I think with like when it comes to marketing, there's I think just knowing what your market is pretty important. And at the moment, it feels like people know what their market is, but there's a lot of like, I just need to get attention. So I'll do anything to bring people in.
Yeah.
Like, you see a lot of it on like quite big artists posting classic memes. And then like, you know, that's completely unmusic related.
Yeah.
But it's got like 17,000 likes and 13,000 comments. And then they kind of like post their latest single in the comments, or like, nowadays you just have to yell the loudest or say the funniest thing or do whatever to just grab people's attention for a second and be like, actually, hey, I make music.
Yeah.
Listen to this, please. Like, it feels like that's kind of one of the only ways you can do it. Or you create a brand and fans that will kind of follow you and they love you so much, or they're such a big fan of you that they will ingest all the content and all the merch and everything you do.
Yeah.
I think Alex Perez has done a really, really great job, and so has DLR, with the Sofa Sound stuff of like creating these people, these fans that will buy 1985 merch and like vinyl, limited edition vinyl releases, or go to like a Sofa Sounds night in Bristol, or ingest all the whatever content they're putting out. It's like the theory of 10,000 true fans. Yeah, it's better to have 10,000 true fans than have 100,000 random people that liked your page because they went to Stereosonic one year and you were headlining Stereosonic.
Yeah. I've definitely liked a lot of pages like that where I'm like, and then you see it and you're like, oh, I don't actually like this person.
Yeah, why am I following this?
I have liked things in my long career on Facebook.
Facebook
I'm like, why the fuck is this coming up? When did I like this page?
Yeah.
And then you find out that the page changed names, or it used to be something else, or like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Hard. Yeah. I think it's hard to like, it's harder to get heard maybe now, but it's also at the same time never been easier to like find who's a fan of you. Like you can kind of cut the line in the sand of being like, these are my people, these aren't my people, and now I can focus in on those people.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a blessing and a curse where we're at the moment. It's so easy to get out there, but that's also a bad thing because any old person can get out there and start putting shit out. And it's like Facebook is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I feel like though, just like kind of random, but like I'm following these like these people on YouTube, and I'm like subscribed to their channel. I've turned on notifications. I'm a member, so like I pay monthly to get like to see their episodes early, and there's still like episodes that I'll miss. Like I don't get a notification and it doesn't pop up in my feed, and I'm like, what the fuck? I couldn't make it any more obvious that I want to see this content first. And it still sometimes slips under, like I don't know. And like same with the Facebook algorithm, like there's the people that'll put up posts and it's like a week later or something that I'll see it and I'm like, how did I miss this? Like I follow this person. I try to interact with their content as much as I can, and it's still like
trying to teach the algorithm.
Facebook is I think fucked. And just gonna be dead.
I think it's only gonna get worse. Like because like I think was it you posted in the DNB group on Facebook, like how's everyone finding reach, or like you were talking about promoting, and it's like you have to do paid posts. You have to spend a ridiculous amount of money on getting people to see your stuff because we're ingesting so much information these days. Like, you know, if 5 years ago we were seeing 1,000 things a day, we're now seeing 10,000 things a day. And you need your thing to come up 100 times out of those 10,000.
Yeah.
instead of the usual 10, or if you don't pay, it's going to come up once. So you just have to play the game, which is frustrating and obviously hard for people and promoters that don't have huge budgets. Like the big guys can have these ridiculous marketing budgets of hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, it's like you think about how much people spend. You know, if the fucking Rock makes a movie for $100 million, so much of that money is going to marketing.
Yeah.
It's like huge marketing budgets just for like Facebook ads, targeted advertising, like all that stuff is just so important. Digital marketing is so important now. But I was going to say about, I had something to say about a time, like it's never been easier to get your name out there and people to find you. But I forgot. Fuck it. It's fine. It probably wasn't that good of a point.
But back to that post in Perth Drum and Bass.
Yeah.
We were kind of like frustrated because a lot of people read it wrong and thought that we were being like,
that's Facebook, man.
Yeah, like,
fuck
you know,
that.
why aren't we getting booked? It's like, that's literally not.
Yeah, I think a lot
that
of
wasn't
people
the point of it. It was more for like, like people who produce and like promoters, like how are you finding it? And all these people are like, no, you know, they're seeing the same names on every lineup. And it's not really what we were asking.
Yeah.
I hate fucking. I like the Perth drum and bass community. I love the Perth drum and bass community.
But the group on Facebook.
But some of the stuff in the group on Facebook, like it's so argumentative sometimes, and I just think that's Facebook in general.
Yeah,
I think you can't say any because there's no tone on anything on Facebook. You can't. Everything turns into an argument so quickly because comments are seen as like such a strong statement. I saw someone posted in the Sydney drum and bass group, hey, what's everyone's feeling about subgenres and like dance floor drum and bass? Like, should dance floor drum and bass be like called dance floor drum and bass? It was something like that. And then there were like 40 comments on it, and I saw some comment from Sam Blaine Stranger. And he was like, he was like, hey man, like you don't need to be aggressive or like you don't need to say that. And it was just, I saw like the end of a thread, but not the start of it. But it was a huge, big thread. And I was like, people are arguing. There's like an argument already where like Sam's come in and been like, hey, like you don't need to do this.
Oh, so his comment wasn't a reply to the original?
No. His comment was replying to someone who's obviously come in and be like, why the fuck are you talking about subgenres? Like, it doesn't fucking matter. And someone's coming on that and being like, said something else. And I just think Facebook is such a poor place to have long form conversations because if you're in the same room as someone and you say something, like we're doing right now, you can have a discussion about it. And you can see people's body language and how they're speaking and tone, and I could say anything right now and you could tell that I wasn't being aggressive or I wasn't being sad or I wasn't being whatever because we're here. But on Facebook or online anywhere, everything's such like a punchy statement. Yeah. Like writing fuck you on a status, even if it's a joke, someone else that doesn't know that you're joking with that person will come in and be like, hey, stop saying that about my friend. And then that kind of creates this like, well, no, actually I didn't mean it like that. And then someone comes in and it's like, stop defending him. And like, it's just such a poor place to communicate. Yeah. And I think that even in something as small and positive as drum and bass, especially in Perth, I think the community in Perth is fucking great and we all seem to like each other. There's still room for arguments and
absolutely,
people to be annoyed,
taking things the wrong way, and
that's why you got to call people, man. Yeah, we should all share our numbers so you can just like instantly call people and be like, hey, like I saw you replied to my comment.
We'll put your number on the screen.
We'll put Jono's number in the description.
Call me anytime. We'll put the number. It'll highlight right now. Don't fucking call me.
How else will you hear their tone?
That's so true. But it would be cool if Facebook had like a voice record function.
for comments.
Yeah,
That
in the
would
same
be
way they do
interesting.
with like Messenger.
Yeah, but there had to be a limit, because think about how many people would go on these long fucking essay things, and that maybe they don't have enough people, unfortunately, in their life that listen to them. So then they would go to Facebook and comment on.
Yeah. I think
leave these voicemails for people to read or to listen to.
That would be interesting, actually.
Too
It'd
much
be harder
content.
to like to monitor what people are saying through that. Like,
You couldn't do it.
No.
yeah,
And people would start saying racist shit, or
Yeah.
people would start saying hurtful things, or bullying, or like all
Yeah.
the things that Facebook is trying to kind of stamp out.
yeah, and people are still behind. Look, they're still behind their little security screen if they're at home, like sending a little voicemail anyway. Like, I'm tough because I'm here in my house. Like, but you wouldn't say that in front of people.
Just like Trigger is being right now.
Yeah.
Tough behind the door.
Yeah, if you open that door.
Very tough behind the door.
Yeah, I don't. I find it really sad to see people. So I can't remember who it was, but an artist posted like a DM from someone that had messaged them being like, "Your music's fucking shit,"
Oh, wow.
and just like really like negative.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know who it was.
I remember,
think it was recent.
Degs posted a, I think it was Degs, like a DM that he got, like a really racist comment. And he just posted that being like, hey, like, I'm not like trying to call this person out or anything, but like, this is just like some of the comments that I do get all the time. And this is why the, like the Black Lives Matter movement is such a big thing. And I was just like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
People like, especially people of color and like women get it as well.
Yeah.
Like if you're different in any kind of way and someone hates themselves, you become a pretty easy target. And that all those people that message racist shit to people of color, or sexist shit to women, or fucking terrible shit to the gay community, or whatever it is, like all those people are just hate themselves so much that they have to get it out somehow. And it's really sad, but it's unfortunately a kind of reality that we're seeing. And it's so much easier for people to do it, to get out these little like fuck yous before it was a bit hard.
Yeah.
But if you listen, like you can so easily just like message an artist you hate, or like a fucking actor you don't like, and just be like, you're a cunt. And if you're having a bad day, and it's like that's so poisonous.
Yeah.
Such a fucking poisonous thing we have
For both people as well.
Yes.
Like that's
massively.
no way to cope with your issues.
No. And like that, even comments, like I've got a friend who recently had a comment on their page, and it was liked by like 1,000 people, and it wasn't a nice comment. And then that makes the person think, like, are there 1,000 people out there that fucking think I'm like that?
That's
Like,
crazy.
That would be
I don't feel like I'm like what they've said, but like, am I? Yeah. Fuck.
That'd be
Heaps of
so
people.
hurtful, man.
Yeah. And if you've got, whether you've got 1,000 followers, or if you've got 1 million followers, if you see a number of people, that's like, imagine seeing 100 people in a room. If 100 people like something, 100 people in a room looking at you and laughing and being like, fuck you. And then imagine seeing, if you're someone like The Rock, or fucking a celebrity that has millions of followers, and someone like 17,000 people like this one comment. And that's like a half a football oval looking at you and being like, fuck you, you're fat and you suck. That's terrible.
God, that is terrible.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible.
We're laughing, but that is terrible.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hurtful enough if one, fucking...
No wonder they don't read the comments or
you
like
can't.
just
Yeah.
like
That's the thing though, like, so these YouTubers that I watch, they talk about like how someone could write like a comment on this Reddit thread and completely fabricated, but if they just say it confidently and with enough conviction, like thousands of people will like this comment, be like, oh my God, I didn't know this. Oh, is that real? It's like, no, it's not. But they've just said it confidently, so people are like, oh yeah, that must be real.
Yeah.
And there's no
Just
turning
blindly
back.
follow it.
Even
Yeah.
if you debunk it, the damage has been done.
Man, yeah.
Can be, yeah.
That's like headlines, clickbait articles.
Yeah.
So many people get their news from things and don't read the article, see the headline article, headline of it, and then they start believing that, and then they go tell other people that.
Yeah.
I remember there was a Dave Chappelle did a podcast, maybe with Joe Rogan, or maybe he just talked about it after it. But remember, he quit Chappelle's show, and everyone was like, he went to Africa and smoked. He was addicted to crack. That was like the thing.
That was the story.
He went away. He turned away from. He turned down $50 million because he's crazy, and then he moved to Africa and just smoked heaps of crack. And I remember believing for a long time that like, oh, Dave Chappelle just like smoked heaps of crack and went crazy, because I didn't do any research. I didn't know anything about it. And it wasn't until he came out and talked about it on, it must have been before he did the podcast, but like it must have been, I don't know, a few years after. And I was like, oh, he didn't actually smoke crack. And that was in like 2010, before there was so much like clickbait. But I believed that for a very long time and didn't follow it up. Nowadays, people aren't following up.
Yeah, that's the
Shit.
thing. It's like it only takes 3 seconds to read a headline, but to follow it up and do your research is a lot more.
That's 5 minutes, and people aren't doing that.
I just think like
People are
I was
reacting
just
to
thinking, man,
headlines.
like if you were offered $50 million and you were a crackhead, you'd probably take the $50 million to go and buy some crack.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
But like,
That's a lot of crack.
That's a hell of a lot.
people are more reactive than ever. It's weird because people are more reactive than ever. People are have less attention span for some things. Yet there's never been more people listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks and ingesting kind of long form content. You've kind of got some people that are like, I want to listen to a 3-hour podcast or watch a 3-hour podcast. And then other people that are like, I'm going to scroll through Instagram and get annoyed at every headline I see in fucking whatever, enews.com. No one's been on enews.com for years. Whatever the click.
Showing your age there.
Yeah, really am. It's 2008 in my mind. What's a clickbait?
Oh,
BuzzFeed.
Yeah, fucking BuzzFeed
fuck
articles,
BuzzFeed.
man.
pedestrian.
Yeah. All those things that like, oh my God, this person's done this or this person's done that. And then you kind of look into it and you're like, it really wasn't like that, or that wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
But if you say it in like a headline, a 3-word thing.
It can do so much damage.
Fuck yeah. There's probably, after this, there's probably going to be like, Jono from Ekko Sidetrack calls out John B.
Yeah.
Or something.
Says that John B is a meme.
Yes, something like that. And then people aren't going to go and fucking watch what I said.
Jono said that John B moved to Africa and smoked a lot of crack.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be the headline from this podcast on BuzzFeed.
Yeah, we start doing clickbaity titles.
That would be so funny if like you just started doing clips that would like, you cut the clip up just to be
Take
like,
it totally out of context.
Yeah, you definitely could.
Yeah, we got dirt on you now, man.
Probably. I think about that all the time. Like Jeff and I have said so many ridiculous things on podcasts to each other that like you could take audio and just like clip it together and make us say anything. If you've recorded yourself talking for more than 100 hours, you've probably said a lot of words.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's a lot of words.
That is a lot of words.
That's a lot of
Like,
words. It kind of reminds me of like deep fakes. Have you heard
Yeah.
of deep fakes?
Yeah.
Like
That's scary.
yeah, it's pretty spooky.
super scary.
Yeah.
There's going to definitely be like word deep fakes.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, there's already I don't know much about it, but that H3 song that they did with Jay-Z's voice.
They've got like an intro tune that's been generated, so it sounds just like Jay-Z rapping about like all
About
of the random shit that they talk about in the podcast.
yeah.
But it's just like,
So
I don't know, it's like computer
somebody's
generated.
taken
That's crazy.
like a shitload of Jay-Z's voice, like loads of recordings of his voice. Obviously, he's had a long career, so they've somehow through the magic of computers, they've taken all this and they're able to like almost synthesize his voice. And you know how you would put into your computer like suck balls and then you'd make it read back to you, suck balls. It's the same kind of thing. So like they wrote out like a verse and it's kind of like Jay-Z rapping, but it's not actually him. If you didn't know, you'd think it was him because it sounds just like him.
Because that gets to a point where you could like record and release a song that sounded like Jay-Z and then kind of sell that as a Jay-Z song. You could do a
fucking deep fake music video as well.
Yeah. They were talking about that. They were like, if we use this to like make a song and like put the rap vocals over a song, would he be in a position to sue?
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's like his likeness, right?
It's his voice and that's his brand, I guess, in a way. That's his instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's scary.
It's crazy.
The future's fucking scary.
Yeah. I kind of think about like what will future like court cases be like? Because obviously now like photos, video evidence, audio confessions and whatever. Anything? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how people are going to prove that something's real and something's not.
Right.
As soon as Trump started saying fake news, that kind of caused everyone to start calling everything fake and not questioning what was real. And then as soon as everyone's questioning what's real and what's fake, nothing is real. And like there's no like standard.
Well, there's no
standard reality anymore.
Yeah. Like there's no definitive way to know if something is real or not.
No.
Simulation theory.
Hey. That's real.
So this is when we revealed that Jono is not actually in the studio.
It's a hologram.
It's actually a hologram.
He died.
I died 15 years ago. It's always been a hologram or a poorly made puppet operated by Jeff.
He's just under the table.
Yeah, with his hand up.
The future is scary.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird. Like it's already weird enough. Like I don't think we're built to deal with this kind of stuff as humans. Like we're very evolutionarily, we're very much using the same operating system that we were.
That's why
100,000 years ago.
Yeah, that's why there's so much trouble with like things like social media.
Yeah.
We don't know how to cope with that.
No.
Like, dopamine, just constant all day getting dopamine hits. And it's making people depressed or like, it's having a really adverse effect on a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Oh, pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. And we're being affected by it even more, like the hate. The hate feels real. Everything feels so real. The only way to do it is to disconnect.
Yeah,
but that's really difficult.
It is, especially when you have to be on social media to promote yourself.
Yeah.
Do you find that can be like? I find it's difficult. I find myself looking at Facebook when I don't need to be because I'm used to being on Facebook to do, posts about Motive or my own brand and
or just seeing what's going on in the Perth drum bass scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a thin line to walk between like staying up to date with your friends and your community and just looking at
scrolling.
Yeah.
Do you find that pretty difficult as well? I
do, especially with Instagram. I go through like stages of being addicted to things. And Instagram is like my trouble thing now. Like, even last night I spent 45 minutes scrolling before bed aimlessly. And I'm really trying not to.
Yeah.
But like I think you just get into these really bad habits that are that you can break out of them. I have broken out of them before. Delete Instagram from your phone and for a week you'll be out of it. But they sneak back in. And I think the key is to post something, figure out a schedule to some degree and post and just drop and get away. And maybe if you want to look at replies an hour later and reply to some people or like interact, do it, put a time limit on it and then drop and get away again.
Yeah.
And like Jeff and I talked about having no phones in the studio policy.
That's a big one.
And we did it for about 2 hours. and then they could just creep back in, and it's like, I need to make a post now, or like I need to talk to someone, or I've got a phone call. Like it seeps back into your life unless you are so disciplined. And most people, myself included, are so not disciplined in that form. Like this is like a little fucking crack injection.
Yeah.
That's our crack, you know, like, and looking at it, or like seeing it, interacting with people. Oh, did anyone message me? Oh my God, why hasn't that person messaged me back?
But you see, you got that little number next to your Facebook icon, and you're like, oh shit, someone cares about me.
Yeah, exactly.
Click on that.
Exactly. And then it's just a fucking invite to another show, or it's an invite to a page, or
Like
it's an
this
invite
page,
to like something that you aren't going to interact with.
Yeah.
I think that's probably part of why people like to get into arguments. Because if you say something controversial on a post, and then you're going to go back to that Facebook post in 5 minutes and see that there's 3-4 notifications. Oh my God, 17 people liked my post, and then 4 people have written back. I'm now interacting with people. And even if those interactions are negative, that's still giving you some sort of dopamine hit. Oh wow.
What was that?
He wanted me to lift him up, but he wasn't helping me. I'm sorry.
Oh, buddy. That's a funny noise. Yeah.
He's all right.
I find it, I'm a sucker for like a good scroll. It's just so hard not to.
It's
especially when like I find if you do a post, and how you said you go back to that post to look at your comments and stuff. Facebook kind of it adds up all the interaction in a certain amount of time, and bases how it shows other people that post off of how much interaction you had in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Hope that makes sense. So like, yeah, if you feel like if you make a post, you have to stay on Facebook for half an hour, an hour to
Keep the engagement up.
Keep the engagement up
Yeah.
and get the reach out there. And I think that makes it so much harder to just do a post and then put your phone away or close Facebook and keep it closed, because she wants to kiss you.
Oh, she loves you.
Because you have to interact. Like, it's all about engagement. It's all about answering back to things. It's all about replying. It is hard, but I think again, like scheduling replies. Like, put a timer on. You'd be amazed if you're like, I'm going to put a 5-minute timer on, and just that's how much time I'm going to put to replying to people on Facebook.
I think I'm going to start doing that.
Do it. You'll probably stick with it for about 3 days, like I did, and then just go back to normal.
But it'll be a good 3 days.
Yeah.
It will, and it's really something that I do need to get control of to some degree, because the business we're all in, we're not going to stop using Facebook. We're not going to stop using Instagram. Like, we may as well try to figure out a way to use it responsibly rather than in this kind of negative.
It's kind of like
way.
Like alcohol in a way.
Yeah.
Obviously, a big part of our lives is going out to parties and playing shows and stuff, and it's hard to just have a couple of drinks.
Yeah, it's really hard
not
to
let
just
it
have a
get out
couple
of hand.
drinks.
Yeah.
It's hard to not drink as well.
Yeah, it is really hard to not drink. Yeah, I think. Have you guys done a month of no alcohol before?
No.
I've not been drinking at events recently, and I stopped caffeine for a little while as well. But
The caffeine's a good one.
now I just have caffeine on and off. But not a full month. I don't think I've done a full month with no alcohol. Have you?
Yeah, it's really good, but it's funny how you feel good afterwards. You miss it, and then arguably I wasn't going out or anything. I was just, this is during fucking lockdown, so it's pretty easy to do a month of no alcohol. But you feel so much better. You're clearer. You've got a bit more clarity. You don't kind of have those weird days of being hungover for a couple of days and feeling a bit strange. But then it's so easy just to go back and have a beer, and you're like, wow, this is really nice actually. I can go out and just have 2 pints. But then it's so easy, especially when you go to a gig, to just be like, I'm so drunk suddenly.
Yeah.
And I'm having so much fun, and everyone else is having fun, and I think it's one of those things like it's just like your phone, learning personal responsibility with the the plethora of vices we have in our life.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we are just primitive beings.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Exactly. And I think having personal, I'm going to put you down now. Having personal responsibility for like how much intake you have of phones, sex, drugs, alcohol, rock and roll, everything. Like you just have to know your limits and be strong enough to be like, not to say no, to not pick up the phone, to not have that other drink.
Yeah.
And it's difficult.
You need to be more conscious of it. Sometimes I'm not even conscious of when I pick up my phone and open Facebook or something. It's like just so automatic.
All the time.
Yeah.
You're like waiting for things.
Yeah.
Even when people are talking, that's when the dangerous thing happens. When someone's talking and you just like go to your phone. And even if it's like to check, I'll just Google this, or I'll just like check this, what we're talking about. And then you automatically just like, you go from the messaging in Instagram to like the stories. And suddenly you're just looking through stories while someone's still talking to you. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Do you have TikTok?
We have TikTok. Jeff has it on his phone. I don't know I do know our login, but I haven't logged in yet because I don't want to be caught.
Yeah. See,
I already get caught on Reels enough.
I've just started, I just got TikTok just because I wanted to like check it out and see what the deal was. I quite like scrolling TikTok over scrolling like Facebook or Instagram because I've like trained my algorithm to show me all dog stuff, and it's so funny. Like I was lying in bed like just scrolling through TikTok the other night while Harley was like playing games, and I was like in tears laughing at these videos, and I just come through and show Harley like, oh my God. But like you can definitely get like stuck like scrolling for a while. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things that you can get
you got to
fall down the rabbit hole for a little while.
But
But I think the content is not as toxic as like Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
Unless that's the content that you're consuming, and like you
I
train
just
the
thought it was all
algorithm that
funny
way.
shit on TikTok, to be honest. Like,
No, it'll
have
throw in
serious
random things, like even like random videos from people that have like no followers and no likes, just to kind of see if that's the kind of thing you like. So I just like scroll past it quickly, like, no, that's not funny, or that's not interesting. But yeah, sometimes I'll throw in like serious stuff, and it's just like, if you sit and watch it and you let it play a couple of times, then you're training it to be like, show me more of this, or if you like it or whatever.
I think that's definitely less toxic than something like Facebook or Instagram, but it's equally as distracting from like
For sure.
the real world. It's like, I'd love to watch Seinfeld all day.
oh yeah,
And just watch 12 hours of Seinfeld, but like that would be so detrimental to my life and to my functioning.
Yeah.
But you know, even if you can't just ingest the best food all the time, or the best drugs all the time, or the best content all the time, because eventually it will take its toll on you. I think.
Yeah.
you just get sick of it.
Yeah, I think it's all about like not looking at the screen so much. And I'm thinking about this a lot lately, just because I feel myself pulled to it a lot more recently.
More so than, say, if you were in lockdown.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think could have been like being more aware of Facebook just leading up to the Reunited show, and having to think about that stuff more and monitor the events and monitor posts and think about content.
And like engaging in the group chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, but then that just leads to a bad habit. Like the scrolling before bed, man, like that's just searching. It's searching for the right video. It's weird. It's like it's like a drug addiction. It's like heroin addiction. Like you're chasing that first high. You're chasing the best video. What's it going to be? What's the thing that's going to make you laugh the most? Is it going to be this 4-minute clip from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or is it going to be a fucking 7-minute video of a man making a mug out of a log? Like
both sound very interesting.
Both regularly come up in my YouTube fucking feed, and it's pretty exciting.
Your algorithm is
like
Always Sunny and Wood.
Yeah, Always Sunny in Philadelphia clips, Curb Your Enthusiasm clips, Park and Recs clips, music tutorials, and then people making things out of people making mugs out of logs, or like
so specific.
This guy had like an old watch from like World War II, and he like what is it?
I think I got this video as well.
He brings it alive. That's
refurbished.
Refurbished. That's the word. That's it comes alive. That's
he brought it to life.
He brought it to life again.
He re-alived it.
He re-alived it, and then there's some re-aliving of like an old lighter, and like just that kind of weird shit.
Yeah,
people sharpening swords.
Yeah, I have seen these videos as well in my feed.
That strange,
it's
like
so funny.
It's just like, yeah. I've got a mild interest in woodwork, but it's not like I'm going out there to buy a sword to sharpen, but it's like interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I guess it's something that's so different to what you're normally into.
Yeah.
Your day-to-day life. I got things like that as well, where it's just like, why am I into this?
But it's like the pull to it is so strange. Like I've got like music tutorials in there, because sometimes I watch music tutorials, and I will be going to bed, and then it'll come up being like, oh, an hour track breakdown of something. And then I'll like be like, okay, I should watch that. I'm like, I'm going to fucking bed. Why do I want to learn about parallel compression at 11 o'clock at night? Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
And your mind will be like buzzing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of it.
That's dumb.
Okay.
I'm so sorry about
We're going to have to pause because the camera just turned itself
That's
off.
okay.
Fucking hell.
Okay.
Okay, well, I can't remember what we were talking about.
Short break because camera turned itself off and everybody needed to pee. So
yeah, including
back.
me. So, fuck you, Sony. Welcome back, everybody.
Okay, what have you got going on at the moment? Like, have you got some tunes that you're working on? Is there any music coming out? Or?
Yeah, so we've got our next single is out on the 30th of June.
Nice.
It is called Connected, and I'm sure you'll be able to hear previews of it soon.
Did you play it at the Reunited show?
Yeah, I think it's what we introed with.
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
cool.
Reunited show. And then we've also got a remix coming out probably in the next 6 weeks, roughly. I don't think I can talk about that, but we've just remixed someone, which is cool.
Nice.
And then we've got we're supporting Dimension in July 17th, I believe, and I think that just sold out.
Yeah,
which
so
is
that
exciting.
Yesterday or maybe today.
Yeah,
Amazing.
which is really good.
Wow.
Very hype.
Yeah, and then some tour announcement stuff in the coming weeks as well. Yeah. And we've also got our podcast, A Band Apart with Ekko Sidetrack, which we do every week.
Which you can listen to on Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere podcasts are, kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff at the moment. It's exciting. That's one of the reasons why coming back has been positive, because it's meant that finally we can kind of make some moves on stuff that, like, I can play shows, but Jeff and I can play shows together.
Yeah.
And it means that we're, I don't know, being together, I think, as a duo is quite important. It's more exciting for a live set. It's more productive in the studio. I think the podcasts are more interesting. Like, doing a podcast on Zoom is slightly, there's a little bit of a disconnect. Like, I loved all the podcasts we did.
Yeah.
Because we've been doing it for over a year now. But there's a different kind of energy when you're in the same room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah, I've noticed that with doing Zoom calls as opposed to, face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like it's being in the room is just more important and better with everything.
Yeah.
So it's really it's positive that things are happening down here. And I do not regret coming back.
Of course not.
Although I feel I do have a bit of miss the UK and do miss the life there and friends there and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an interesting change.
Yeah, I bet. Especially like going through like all that time of lockdown or whatever, and just like kind of having to like establish yourself in a new place when things are weird, and like trying to make make your life fun and make everything work.
It was I'm really quite lucky that I had like friends, because Jeff and I had been over like so many times before, and I've obviously got friends from people touring here a lot. I'm so lucky that I had a good network over there before.
Yeah.
Like I do know a couple of people that moved over in the beginning of 2020 and just moved back to Australia because they were like, my job, like I don't have that much of a network. I don't really know that many people, and my job has just disappeared.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go home. And I'm so glad that I didn't go home. And that I did kind of continue the life there. And I had in retrospect, I had a great time. Even though it was a shit time, I did have a great time as well.
Yeah.
And solidified so many relationships, and it was important to do. And I think like having a good network is so important.
Yeah.
And having good friends.
Yeah.
Having good people to talk to.
Yeah.
It's cool that you can go there, once things are back open, whenever you want, and just reintegrate.
Yeah. I think that's again something that I'm really thankful for and grateful for, that I have the ability to do, is like be able to have kind of these lives and these friendships in different places in the world that you can just kind of like pop back into that mode, and it's like you just left. I love that. I think those friendships are so important to have. And if you can make those friendships with a lot of people, I think DJs and anyone that travels for work kind of has to, because if you're traveling around the world by yourself, you want to land and be like, I'm seeing a friend in each country or each city I'm going to. It sucks going to a new place and you don't know anyone. Yeah. And you have to play a show. Yeah. And you're like, oh.
Your pre's are like alone in your hotel room.
Yeah. and I mean like, there's some DJs are more professional than others and don't drink and like just come up and rock up to the show, and then they do the job and they have a drink and then they leave, or whether they're people that go crazy and stay at the kick-ons until the airport call is, and then they get on a plane and do it all again. Like, you want to be around good people as much as you can. And I think that's how I want to do things. I like going somewhere and being friends with the people and being excited to see them again and having fun. It makes it not feel like work. It makes it just feel like you're hopping between friends everywhere you go. Yeah. And that's what's exciting about it. Yeah. That's what's good about having a large network of friends and being a fun person. Yeah. And liking people. Yeah. I don't know how people can exist that don't, there's some people in the world that don't like being around people. Yeah. That are just, maybe they're more introverted and just kind of seem disconnected. I am not really like that. I think I'm kind of introverted and extroverted at the same time, or at different moments. And I really do get a lot of energy from talking to people and interacting with people and having exciting conversations and sharing thoughts and feelings and being open and that type of thing. I think that's what makes for an interesting life rather than
just being like caged and It sounds like you get a lot of inspiration from outside. Yeah. Literally outside, or like being with other people. Yeah. Yeah. I think most of us do.
Yeah, I think so. And then equally you have to, I think it's about finding that line as, again, for being like, okay, this is my outside time, this is my social time, this is my fun time, and then stopping. Because I will have moments where like I'll have too many social arrangements, and that's, can just be like seeing a friend on Friday night and going and seeing another friend on Saturday and then doing something on Sunday. Or by the time I'm Monday, I'm like, I want to be in the studio by myself.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk to me. I won't reply to messages. Like, it's very much like that, riding the balance between energy in and am I putting too much energy out?
Yeah. It's like I see it as having a social battery.
Yeah.
So like it depletes and then I need to be alone and recharge.
Yep. That's exactly.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same. I think
It's hard
important.
if you work in customer service though.
Yeah.
How do you guys find it working in customer service?
Well,
Well,
I don't.
Yeah, Harley works in the warehouse, so he doesn't really have to interact with too many people.
Yeah, love it.
But yeah, it's hard if you've like been out on the weekend and you've like played a gig or you've just been really social, and then it comes to Monday and it's like, I need to go to work and try and be that social with strangers now.
And you don't. I think I would be so. Like, I've never really worked in customer service. I've always worked in, like, as a chef and been separate away in the kitchen, and like I've done shifts in the customer facing stuff, but not really have much experience in it.
Yeah.
And when I have, I've just been so not like fake forward facing.
Yeah.
I've just been very quite normal. If I'm feeling social, I'll be sociable and always courteous and stuff. But
Yeah,
you'd be
not
very,
that over the top, like
no, I think
friendly
that's
kind
a
of thing.
real gift that customer service people have.
yeah. Stan is honestly an absolute machine with it. Like, he can just turn it on whenever,
Man.
even if
Yeah.
he's like
He's the
really
most
hungover or really
Yeah.
tired or
He's the most charismatic person I've ever met.
yeah.
I think he
it's
is.
not fair.
He is the most charismatic person I've met.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a gift, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is a fucking
That's
gift.
probably why he's a good MC as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He I would say he's extroverted.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
Maybe 100% extroverted.
Yeah.
Like, gets energy from people and
Yeah.
can just be
Although
there.
he does go on bushwalks alone a lot.
Maybe that's why he's got so much energy. Maybe
Yeah.
his battery pack is bigger than ours
Yeah.
because he's fucking
He's on that lithium ion shit.
yeah, he's on that lithium
He's on that Energizer Plus
What's that shit brand of batteries that we've got?
Vata.
He's
They're
not. He's
bad.
not on the Vata
No.
batteries.
No,
You got to get on. It's
They're not
it's-
too bad, but definitely not as good as we want.
It's got to be Energizer or Duracell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. None of this off-brand shit. I feel like I'm like a Chinese brand. It's like I look good on the outside. I look like I might have a lot of battery life, but no, not really.
But then that's what the long bushwalks alone probably recharges him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being out in nature and stuff.
Yeah, and it allows him to be around people for long periods of time and selling stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shout out to Stan.
Yeah, big up Stan.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, anything
Yeah.
else you wanted to plug?
Um,
Your podcast, we plugged that.
podcast,
New music.
new single, remix coming out. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to be putting more video content and start integrating video into the podcasts.
Cool.
Yay.
That's exciting.
Follow us on Spotify. I don't know. Yeah,
We'll
that's
put
it.
all the links down there.
Yeah,
all the
under
links.
my phone number.
Yeah. That'll be the top line.
Maybe we should put Jeff's phone number in there.
Just prank him.
Yeah, he would.
Prank.
Awesome. He's got to change his
Which one
number,
is
and
Oh, I think he just.
the crowd seems to agree.
I'm so glad I didn't have access to any of those things because I would have played them
We've been meaning
constantly.
to write like
There's some good ones.
notes on what each
Yeah.
one is because it's kind of
I think this is my
Guessing.
favorite.
That's fantastic. We did a podcast with Ross from the Zombie Cats, and he brought he downloaded an app that had all these sound effects on it.
Oh, wow.
And so during the podcast, he just would like say things and then put the app close to the microphone. And then Jeff and I both downloaded the app,
Oh
and
my
then we were
God.
all doing it.
Oh my god.
that's so rough.
It made for some silly conversation. He's a silly boy.
Yeah, you all are.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah.
I've had a lovely afternoon and a lovely conversation and feel re-energized
Yay.
from having the conversation
Yes.
and excited to
And
go.
dog cuddles.
And dog cuddles.
Yes.
And dog hair.
Oh,
Yeah,
so much dog
You
hair.
got some dog hair on you now.
Have you got an emergency lint roll or
I do.
something?
We do.
I literally do. Well,
Okay.
yeah. Best of luck in the future, man.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure we'll see you around.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hey,
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Trigger. Oh, dude, if you fall from here, it's gonna fucking hurt.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Wait.
John and Robert Kennedy, reaching the soaring heights of political power in the 1960s, and the crushing lows of assassination. And finally, Brennan and Dave, who began as enemies, became best friends, and together organized the most successful helicopter leasing event in the Western Hemisphere. Tonight, we focus on the sweeter side of citizenship. Two drum and bass producers who happen to be from the same room, separated for the last 18 months by land, sea, and a global pandemic. They're back. Here tonight, in their hometown of Perth, ladies and gentlemen, Ekko and Sidetrack are reunited.
Somebody get a fucking ass up in the air right now. Somebody single. Hands up. Ladies on your tiptoes. I'm bumping the window. Everybody bouncing. No time to stand around. Little show. 4, 3, 2. Connected.